Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my video about the deleted Nova storyline from Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. The Russos were trolling us a little while ago when they were talking about Nova being in that big final battle in Avengers Endgame, but turns out for a little while he was actually going to be in that movie. So we'll break it down and break down what's going on with the Nova movie that Marvel is working on right now. Because for all you people that have been asking for Richard Rider, they are working on a Nova movie. We're doing an Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your best Nova theory on the video. So if you don't remember what happened earlier this summer, the Russos were joking about Nova being in Avengers Endgame when someone asked them during a big Q&A session. This is the clip of them talking about Richard Rider being in Avengers Endgame.
Macho Man, Russo brothers, how do you guys not have any Nova Corp member in a fight against Thanos? Love the movie, but just boggles my mind. Didn't even have to be Richard Rider. I look closely at that scene again, and you will see.
There are thousands of people.
Yeah, you will see Richard Rider in the background of a shot. Easter egg. Everyone, thank you so much.
These were great questions.
Yes,
yeah.
Sending in these questions, we really appreciate it. And hopefully, you got satisfactory answers.
Yeah, and hopefully you have answers of your own.
After they posted that clip, the internet went crazy. Everyone did their customary zoom in and hands all over the Avengers Endgame final battle looking for Richard Rider Nova. The Russos came out a couple days later and clarified, no, we were just joking around. He didn't actually make it into the final cut of the film, so don't bother looking in this big final battle scene because you won't actually find him. But then a little while later, it was revealed that there was a giant deleted Nova storyline, and there was a version of Avengers Endgame where he was in that final battle. And it goes all the way back to the beginning of Avengers Infinity War, because it was sort of the situation like you have with Captain Marvel in the movie, where they show up at the beginning, then they show up at the end. So the Nova deleted storyline starts with an Avengers Infinity War prequel. Thanos at the beginning of Infinity War is chosen to quote-unquote do it himself and go after the Infinity Stones. That timeline starts during the Avengers Age of Ultron post-credit scene where he grabs the gauntlet. That's how far back this goes. But in the timeline, that was happening right before Avengers Infinity War starts. Right after this scene of him smiling into camera, he goes straight to Xandar, attacks the Nova Corps to take the Power Stone from them, then uses it to destroy the planet, just like Ronan almost did during the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It was a massive, massive battle scene that they originally intended to open Infinity War and Endgame with, just to show you how powerful Thanos was even without the Infinity Stones. He was able to level the Nova Corps before he took the Power Stone. Visually, it looked very similar to Thanos from 2014 annihilating the new Avengers base at the end of Avengers Endgame with just his normal ships and weaponry before he tried to steal the Infinity Gauntlet from them. So Thanos almost kills all the Nova Corps, including Nova Prime, but Richard Rider survives, and the Xandarian World Mine gives him his Nova powers. So essentially, they're doing the Nova origin story from the comics. They're just using Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet as the catalyst for that. Because before this, Richard Rider was just a normal space cop before he gained total control over the Nova Force. They weren't really clear about what the Nova Force would actually look like during Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, but it's a pool of energy that all the members of the Nova Corps are allowed to draw from. The lights on the symbols in their armor is just an indicator for how much power they're drawing. For most low-level officers, like the people that are locking up the Guardians of the Galaxy here, it's just basic minor armor enhancements, nothing else. But when the living computers of the Xandarian World Mine give Richard Rider total and sole access to the power source, it makes him one of the most powerful Avengers-level characters. You can argue in the comments about who would be more powerful, someone like Scarlet Witch who got her powers from an Infinity Stone, or someone like Richard Rider who draws his powers from the Nova Force. I saw a lot of theories when Avengers Endgame came out about Nova getting his powers from an Infinity Stone too, and them trying to explain it that way. It's always possible they could change that later on. But once Richard Rider in the movie gets his full Nova Force powers, their plan was to use them in a very similar way to what they did with Captain Marvel. Early scene is part of that huge battle that opened the movies, then he goes away for a long time during that 5-year time jump and comes back for the Avengers Endgame final battle. You get to see him using some of his powers in that big splash page scene in the background when everyone's flying across the frame at the same time, and then they set up his storyline for Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, and what they're going to do in the Nova movie. The basic plan for the Nova movie, at least right now, and this could always change down the road, is that they use flashbacks to explain what was happening when he actually gets his powers after Thanos' attack, what he did during the 5-year Avengers Endgame time jump, and then establish all the characters that they'll be using in his movies. The thing about the Nova Corps is that Xandarian space borders Kree and Skrull space, so a lot of you have probably already figured this out. He's right next to the sector of space the Captain Marvel patrols, so they share a lot of space-based villain characters between the two of them, between the Skrulls and the Kree. There are a ton of super weird Nova villains that they can use as the main villain of his movie, and obviously if it's successful, they'll do multiple Nova movies. Some of the biggest ones that we have not seen in the MCU yet are Annihilus. Remember when everybody thought that they were going to use Annihilation Conquest as the plotline of Avengers Endgame and the Annihilators were going to come? That was actually a pretty big early theory. It sounds like they're still going to use them eventually, but we won't see them till Marvel Phase 5 or some future space-based movie, because there are so many cosmic movies that they're developing now. Aside from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, there's now the Nova movie, there's the Captain Marvel sequels, and the Silver Surfer movie that they're working on. That doesn't even get into the X-Men space-based movies like Starjammers. It would actually be awesome to see them show up in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But a lot of the other big Nova villains, like Apox, are just super versions of Skrulls. Not the Super Skrull, just a Skrull that is way more powerful than normal Skrulls. That's why his movie will probably share a lot in common with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But right now, the actual Nova movie wouldn't come out till after Captain Marvel 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We know that Captain Marvel 2 is going to take place on Earth at least a little bit because Kevin Feige confirmed that they're doing it after the Miss Marvel Phase 4 series. They introduced Kamala Khan during that, then she crosses over into the movies in the Captain Marvel sequel. Feige said that she's a character in present day, ergo, part of Captain Marvel 2 has to take place in present day after Avengers Endgame. Right now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is probably going to come out in 2022, sometime after Black Panther 2. Black Panther 2 is May 2022. That's the only movie that they've confirmed for that year, but we know that they're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. They can totally introduce him, Spider-Man, Captain America Civil War style with a cameo in someone else's movie. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is probably going to make more sense just because they have such weird characters in those movies, and most of Nova's villains are pretty weird. But just based on all that, we might not wind up seeing the Nova character till 2022, 2023, unless they want to shoehorn him into some earlier movie. There just aren't a lot of space-based movies outside of Thor 4, Love and Thunder in the next 2 to 3 years. They don't really have any actors that they're looking at right now, so you're free to fan cast anyone you want for Richard Rider Nova, but he'd be around the same age as Star-Lord. Younger character, but not that young. But a lot of these big space-based cosmic plans that Marvel's making for Phase 4 and Phase 5 make a lot more sense now that we've seen that Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene with Nick Fury, where he's on the Sword space station.
Everybody back to work! Got my shoes!
The whole reason why they took him into outer space is because he's basically going to be putting a new team of Avengers together for Avengers 5. So as a way to differentiate the new phase of Avengers, Avengers 5, they're taking those movies into outer space with big cosmic threats, and all the Marvel Phase 4 series that they just announced at Comic-Con and D23 will mostly take place on Earth. So that's how they're sort of dividing up territories in the Marvel Universe. We're going cosmic with the big Avengers level stuff. Everything else is going to be down on planet Earth. And if you missed it during the Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene, Talos sort of lets slip that there are Kree sleeper cells on planet Earth. What that implies is that they're due secret invasion, but instead of the Skrulls doing secret invasion like the comics, it'll actually be the Kree that invade, because the way they've set them up so far is that the Skrulls are good in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's the Kree that are bad. So we're still getting Secret Invasion at some point, but they might choose to cover that in one of the solo movies instead of doing it in an Avengers movie. But everybody post all your Nova theories in the comments below. Space Cop flying around, do you want to see him pop up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, or do you think that he'll show up in somebody else's movie? There's more Marvel deleted scenes and bonus videos I'm working on the next couple of days, but leave all your requests in the comments below. Congratulations, Zombie Bro 9, you're the giveaway winner for my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Everybody click here for my new Spider-Man Sinister 6 video, and click here to learn about Tom Welling's Superman coming back for the big Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover this year. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.